Hey, podcast listener, the following interview with Syed Balkhi of Awesome Motive, acquiring the Thrive Themes suite of tools, is brought to you by the WPMinute.com/plus. It's the new podcast from the WP Minute. It's all of that extra long form conversation that you wanted from WordPress. The WP Minute Plus already has 4 great episodes for you to download and binge on. The upcoming episode, Syed Balkhi, Miriam Schwab from Elementor, Chris Lubkert from Extendify, and Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS. All 4 folks have announced some pretty amazing things for themselves in the WordPress space and for the WordPress community. Lots of traction, lots of movement, lots of deep discussion around WordPress that we love. So grab the WPMinute.com/plus feed, throw it in your podcast app, and binge on the 4 episodes already available to you. It's the WP Minute Plus, your home for long-form discussions around the WordPress ecosystem, deeper insights and conversations that you won't find on our short-form WordPress news podcast. We'd love your support. Head on over to the WPMinute.com/support to donate a $5 virtual coffee, join the membership for $79 a year, purchase a classified listing in our newsletter, or get a video review of your product. The WPMinute.com/support. Support independent WordPress media. The WPMinute.com/support.
It is thrivethemes.com. And even though the name has themes in it, it is the company behind some of the most powerful growth tools for WordPress. So they have things to help you convert website visitors into email subscribers using pop-ups and quizzes and comments and all sorts of things. They have A/B testing, a full-blown website builder, page builder, theme builder, however you want to approach that for WordPress. They have an LMS solution that's quite nice. So it's a suite of about 10 products that encompasses Thrive. And I like the name Thrive Growth Tool Suite,
Yeah.
But they call it Thrive Suite.
Yeah, definitely we're really hitting the ground a lot in, I don't know, God, time has escaped me, of course, but I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I remember them just coming out of nowhere and really starting to, when we were starting to see like Elementor have some skyrocket growth, really saw them come out and really focus on, I mean, internet marketer is a kind of a throwaway phrase these days, but that's sort of where I felt like they were like niching into, was the internet marketer, the person building the funnels, building the upsells, and really cornering maybe the digital product market. Has that stayed the same? And is that the course it will sort of slot into the Awesome Motive set of?
Yeah, so actually Shane created a product in 2012 called Hybrid Connect. So this predates Opt-in Monster even. I used Pop-Up Domination, Hybrid Connect, all of these pop-up softwares before I ended up creating Opt-in Monster. And so I followed their journey for that time. And yes, Shane was a digital creator himself. So naturally, the audience that he attracted were creators, right? Some internet marketers, but also a lot of small business owners, right? Marketing agencies and so on. So the client base is quite broad, but that should sum it up.
When I zoom out and I look at the suite of Awesome Motive products, does this get folded in to other products, or will this remain sort of independent and put on the lineup of offerings from Awesome Motive?
One of the things that I really like about WordPress is the freedom that it offers, the choice. I really believe, even as a user, that when you try to offer a bundle and try to do everything, inside one product, you end up being good at almost nothing, right? So what makes Opt-in Monster stand out compared to, let's say, the built-in MailChimp pop-ups or whatever other thing that exists, is that we are so focused on doing that one thing and one thing really, really well. And when we start merging a bunch of these technologies in, we destroy the user experience. At least that's my experience looking at what other people have done. So there's no intention of merging, let's say, Thrive Leads with Opt-in Monster, right? These two products have coexisted, as I mentioned. Hybrid Connect predates Opt-in Monster. They've coexisted and thrived in that time together because users want options, right? Not everybody wants a SaaS solution that does all the things. Some people are very okay with all the bells and whistles that Thrive Leads offer. Same thing with Thrive Architect and SeedProd, right? While the end goal and the end product is the same, a lot of the users just prefer one over the other and vice versa. And we don't want to disrupt that. If you're happy using a visual builder, let's say like a Thrive Architect over something that's like block based, like SeedProd, that's okay. Right. And we don't intend to merge those things. But we do intend to learn from the products and have some sort of marriage and integrations where possible. For example, Thrive has this amazing tool called Optimize, right? Thrive Optimize essentially lets you do A/B testing of of your landing pages very easily. And as recently, Google Optimize announced that they're sunsetting Google Optimize, which makes Thrive Optimize even more valuable. Now, could that have an integration for SeedProd? Very possible. Very possible. Could SeedProd adopt something like that and make that offering? I don't know. Right? Again, these decisions are going to be made by the general managers of each of those business units, because at Automotive, each business units run independently. Believe it or not, like I am not the one making all the decisions across 40 different products that we have, despite what it may look like at this time. So they're pretty autonomous businesses that we have that are running in parallel and learning from each other. And our advantage, I would say, is that we fail faster than others, right? We can at any given point, somebody's failing at something, and we're learning from it and improving that ultimate user experience.
I'm glad you said the phrase business units. A couple of questions on the logistics of just the sheer volume of acquisitions that you do and slotting them into, again, like you said, almost 40 products across the board. You must have a pretty fine-tuned process to bring on a new product and get it into the automotive ecosystem internally. And the things that come to my head is support, number one, being just like this massive thing that, my God, now you bring on another product, and it's how do we educate and the whole automotive family understand how to support this product? What is this product, and how do we support our customers with it? You must have a fairly fine-tuned process with that. I'd love to learn a little bit more. And did you bring over the entire team from Thrive and for support and to augment that?
Absolutely. The entire team behind Thrive Teams is there. From product to support to marketing to leadership. The only thing that's changed is that the founders exited, but they had a general manager in place, Brad, who'd been running the business, and he's going to continue running the business. So in terms of educating the support team, we don't really have to do that because this team has been supporting this customer base for the last decade, right? So as a matter of fact, we're learning from them in a lot of things. They're like, okay, how are you doing this? And vice versa, right? And we say, oh, actually, we did the same thing and learned lesson A. And they're like, oh, actually, we did it this way. And then, so at any given point, it's a mesh happening, right? So it's still too early, right? We just announced the acquisition. We need to sit down and learn those lessons. But yeah, like the whole team is there and they're joining Automotive. Integration takes a little bit of time to do, a couple of months, but yeah.
Probably the third largest acquisition you've done?
I don't know. What are the first two?
I don't know. I'm trying to break that. I've just tried so many ways to get Syed to share what size these deals might be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I zoom out, just look at potentially what that market is, the page building market, of course, the marketing market. If I feel like it's probably one of your more sizable deals, maybe, well, I'll go with EDD probably being your largest is my guess. And then this is probably like 3 or 4 in my eyes.
I think this is a pretty sizable business because you have to understand Thrive doesn't have a freemium offering, unlike most products that we bought. Right. So when we acquire, say, EDD or Duplicator, right, they're freemium, all-in-one SEO freemium. So there's large number of users, then only a certain percentage convert to pro. Versus here, there's no freemium users.
Yeah. You must be getting to a point where now, for years running these brands independent, everyone or every brand has, we'll call it a GM or a president, and it all runs autonomously. You must be getting to a point now where maybe you're rethinking the scalability of your management team. And what does that look like? Like, I know you do like big retreats. Anybody who follows your posts, your yearly wrap-ups, you get to see all these photos from everywhere you've gone and meeting with the team. And of course, I've known the team for years, but there's so many faces I don't know anymore. are you like at a point now where you have all of these products and all of these new leaders where you have to kind of rethink that? And is there any insights you can give us into how you're reshaping maybe the management team of Automotive?
Yeah, Matt, you and I go way back, and a lot of people may not know, but I am a blogger, right, with no administration degree or anything like this. So this is all trial by fire.
You just keep getting bigger Airbnbs as time goes on. Like that's the solution. I get this room. We get this Airbnb with 50 rooms in it. That's what we do.
So it is a process of learning and improving as we go along. And what we have works. We outside of the main retreat that you see that we do, which have all the AMT members that can attend. We do these 2 leadership meetings, right, twice a year, where the founders, the GMs, the presidents, whatever you want to call it, that role attend. We get together and we have this like mega Airbnb house, and then we have a bunch of smaller houses around that same area, and we use the main house to do meetup and get together and spend a day together. So we do this twice a year, just with the leadership, and we haven't outgrown that yet. That still works. At some point, at the pace of the acquisitions that we're doing, and I mean, my goal is to build a generational company. So at some point, I imagine that will not scale. But the other good thing that's coming is that we've been doing this for a long enough time, right? I started in WordPress when I was 16. I'm 32 now. That's half of my life in WordPress. And a lot of our businesses have been around for a long time. Our customers love us, and our leaders have matured, right? And we're learning. So I have great partners. In the case of Thrive Teams, for example, Thomas, whom you know, is leading the vision, is directing and ensuring the integration happens as smoothly as possible. So now what's happening is that it's not just me doing all the leadership level stuff. It is, Thomas, or in Duplicator's case, John Turner. So existing GMs or partners are now stepping up and sort of taking that role.
I want to broach an interesting topic that has hit the scene a little bit more in the WordPress community space across automotive products. And you're getting to a point now. I'm gonna frame something for you, and then I'll get into the deeper question. It was a WordCamp US. I think it was a past WordCamp US. It was a limited amount of people, and there was some discussion around the fact that it was all sponsors that were attending. So it was just like all the sponsors' employees were there. And it was kind of just, and some people said, "Hey, this isn't really great. Like this should be bigger. It should be more open. Yada yada yada." You're getting to a point where like you own so many products in the WordPress space that someone on my Twitter timeline is your employee. Somebody is going to go to a WordCamp and meet an Automotive employee. There will always be an Automotive employee at every WordCamp across the globe pretty soon. And what I'm getting at is you all reach a pretty sizable part of the community. And there are some things that I see in the community about things that people don't like on the sales and marketing side, which I understand. But I'd like to give you maybe an opportunity to just paint the picture on how you approach a business of your size. Here's one reference point. I don't like limited deals ending soon on the pricing page. I don't like cross-promoting one product to the next. I don't like banners in the options page or the admin. I know why you have to do it. I appreciate that you have to do it. You have a mega machine to feed. It is not your playground, the millions of websites that you touch. In other words, all of these sites are just not your Automotive SaaS running on your server that you can measure and calculate and upsell in a much more seamless fashion. So I'm giving you some breathing room there, but also people want to know like, hey, is Automotive seeing this, and is someone paying attention to it? And is there any attention coming where it's like, hey, we get it, but here's why we do it? But the floor is yours on that topic.
For sure. I think a lot of times we get this negative attention due to the size that we are. If you imagine each one of these companies as independent companies, no Syed involved, and they cross promote, nobody will have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, that happens, right? Plugin owners and founders can get together and say, hey, you promote me, I promote you from my blog to this blog. The way Automotive has operated, like I never started out to become an investor, right? When we started out, we simply talked to the users, figured out what they needed to grow, and built the tools to help them succeed. That's how we started. And over time, we learned all these different things that were happening in the ecosystem. Nothing that we do is ever we are the first to do it. First of all, right? Somebody is already doing it in the ecosystem. We're just more studious, and our plugins get the attention of you put a nag on, or you put a dashboard notice. As a matter of fact, we're one of the least dashboard notices company if you look across the 60,000 plugins that are in the repo. And goodness, I have screenshots right, of what if I start sharing that, I think that just brings more negativity to the space, and I stay out of that. But yeah, I see all the tweets that are there. Same thing across anything that you're seeing. We're not the first to do it, and these things work. We want to make sure we're able to communicate with our users. We want to be respectful of the dashboard experience. When we're showing notices, we show it on our own plugin. We don't show it dashboard wide, except for that review ask. Right, we say, hey, if you like a product, can you leave us a review? And that shows up in the dashboard. But otherwise, we graduated away from that quite some time ago, maybe 2018 or 2019 or something like that. Most of our notices show up inside our own plugin settings. If you haven't set up the plugin, right? Because with WordPress, when you install the plugin and you didn't configure it, then we'll show a dashboard thing. But so does any other plugin. Jetpack does the same thing, WooCommerce or everything. But that's to improve the user experience. We want to make sure that you actually set up a plugin. Otherwise, you're not going to get the value out of it, right? And at which point you might as well deactivate it if you're not going to use it. We want to make sure the users know that there is something to be done inside that software suite that they chose to install.
I'd have to imagine that at some point there has to be, and I want to get into I'll give you my crazy, I'm going to hold my crazy wild card predictions for Automotive towards the end of this interview. But I'd imagine at some point you must be thinking do we do hosted WordPress ourselves so we can just skip this fragmented approach of whatever 50,000 users on Bluehost, 50,000 on SiteGround, spread across the industry, or supporting all of this stuff? There must be some thought to consolidating this into a SaaS solution that may be powered by WordPress, but you don't even know it's WordPress. There must be some hosting solution coming so that you can avoid yourself of all this stress. Is that in play? Do you see that as the future, or is, hey, WordPress the way we do it now in these one-on-one situations, it works for us?
I think I might be a little too old school, and I like WordPress the way it is. I don't like the idea of a hosted platform that is going to force me into its way of doing things. I think what makes WordPress so great is the flexibility and the freedom that it offers. Of course, it has some cons, right? With every pros, you have cons. One of the cons is that you have to go find those tools and set it up together and make sure they all work. And for those, you try to improve the user experience as you can, whether it is with a better onboarding flow, whether it is with better product education, and so on. And I think the idea, the allure, or the grass being greener on the other side, like what if there was a hosted solution that just had everything? And Automotive has these tools, but so does Jetpack, right? Jetpack has all the things you need to do on a basic website. I think there's never going to be a single hosting company that will own the market, that will have all the solutions, because at scale, hosting is a very different business. They're doing very different things. And I believe that in the future, there will be experiences, if you may want to call it that, like design experiences or flavors of WordPress. But I think that is not an easy problem to solve. Just having a plugin and have a hosting and calling it, now you have a hosted LMS. That's not true. You're not competing with Teachable at that point. That's not what that is. We have to think about experience from an onboarding point of view. How do you do that? And believe it or not, not everybody likes bundles. There's a segment of people that love bundles. They're like, yes, let me just install one thing and give me all the stuff in it, right? But then there is I would say, prosumers, right? Somebody, let's say you, or anybody that I would say maybe is a vocal minority. The moment, let's say, if we start bundling it, we'll get even more hate for doing that. But right now, everybody's saying you should bundle, right? These
Yeah.
guys, they just keep bundling their own thing in everything they do. And then, so we have to strike that balance and making sure that if you're getting all-in-one SEO, you get the absolute best SEO solution in the market and not a page builder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's just the idea of where we are and how I see WordPress. And again, the view can change if the market changes, but I hope it doesn't. And WordPress is pretty good in the way it is.
So I get a little bit just like more critical. And I don't know the numbers. I didn't run any formulas. I didn't run any numbers ahead of time, but maybe that in a non-automotive hosted solution, you get better lifetime value out of a customer because maybe they're buying, I don't know, 5 or 6 of your different plugins, right? WP Forms, Monster Insights, maybe Thrive thrown into the mix now. You probably earn more per customer, I think, if you maybe consolidated that down to a $79 a month plan. Fair?
Not necessarily. Vast majority of users are free. Right, a very, 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 very large majority of our users are free, and our free products offer so much that most users don't need to upgrade to Pro. Right, so we want to make sure that we're giving users the optionality that they want. Right, why price something at $79 a month? Right, to say you have to pay me $79 a month to get access to all these tools when you can just pay me $4 a month, right? Just for forms. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, a solution that costs $49, it's
Yeah.
$4 a month.
You mentioned Jetpack before. There's an interesting thing. Again, I don't have it in front of me, but last I looked when I did a video on Jetpack, if you went all in with Jetpack, first year, I think all in with Jetpack is like maybe $300 or something like that. But then year 2, it goes to, I want to say it was $1,500 a year for all of their feature sets. Do you see Automotive having a bundled, speaking, we just talked about bundling, but more on like a hosted side. Do you see like this, I don't know, one vehicle plugin that you can go and just activate all the things and just pay it out of one plugin versus buying them all individually?
I haven't seen what Jetpack has done recently with their pricing, so I don't. I can't comment that there is a $1,500 a month version. But I imagine if you're saying it must be, I'll take it at face value. I like the idea of giving users an option. If they want to use our form builder at a low price and choose somebody else's SEO solution, that's fine. If they want to use our form builder and SEO, cool. I don't want it to be a situation where you're like, well, I don't like this one solution, so I have to ditch everything. If that makes sense. And these every business, when I say that they are separate businesses, they really are. There is a separate support team, there's a separate development team, there's a separate leadership team, there's a separate marketing team. All what's common amongst them is that they have better strategic partnerships than that. So imagine if 2 founders were really good friends and they were just like cross promoting each other, because that's what it's really happening.
You give them that kind of autonomy, right, to run the businesses.
There's that level of autonomy.
Yeah.
You think about it, there's 24 hours in a day and we have 40 different brands. I'm not working 24/7. How would I know what's getting published in every single blog post or every single newsletter? No, a lot of the deals, they're being cross promotion arrangements are being discussed at a GM to GM level or a founder to founder level. And when we meet up at our leadership meetups, there's time and people go on walks together. They might be in a hot tub or what have you, and they think about how we can cross promote each other or grow those two respective brands, and that's where those ideas come from.
Is WP Beginner your baby that you spend the most time on across all things Automotive?
I do read every article that gets published on WP Beginner.
That one does not pass the desk. That's mine. I started it. I don't care who's running.
I still think I'm a blogger, right, at heart, and I do enjoy learning about WordPress and experiencing WordPress as a user and doing that. So I do really enjoy the work that WP Beginner team is doing. The WP Beginner is no longer just all me all the time. It's not just me coming up with content ideas. Like that part is there's a great team that comes up with content ideas and they do a great job.
When is the right time for somebody, based on your experience with all the acquisitions, not just in WordPress, but in everything else you do, when is the right time for a founder to come to you and say, hey, Syed, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to run this ship by myself. What do you think the best, I don't know, context or phase or moment or feeling a founder should have before they knock on your door?
If you notice, a lot of the acquisitions that we do are of products that have been around for a while, and the founders really love the product and what they have built. They want it to go to someone who's also bootstrapped. We're not backed by a private equity. We're not debt funded. We're not venture backed. We are really here to serve our users. And that's one of the big reasons why we have continued to grow despite what anybody says. It doesn't matter, because what's true is that. And founders choose us and exit to us because they know that their product will remain independent, their team will be taken care of, and their legacy will be carried forward. And that's what that we've done. We partner with founders to give them a quick, straightforward exit that doesn't require them to stay on board for 2 years on some sort of earn-out terms, which is not founder friendly, which is not going to give the founders the valuation that they were promised in the beginning. That's what happens in most VC PE deals, right? You are promised one number, and then all the legalese that you don't know, that you just didn't know at the time that you should be looking for, come back to bite you 2-3 years later when your earn-out period is over, and you're like, wait, I was promised this. What happened? And they're like, oh, you didn't check this fine print or this fine print or that. Right? So founders really choose to exit to us because we give them a straightforward exit. We allow them to move on to the next chapter of their life. Right? I'm committed to WordPress. I'm committed to the open web, and I'm still very, very young. A lot of founders are not, and they're ready to move on to the next chapter of their life. And I think we need to celebrate their successes instead of not, because they committed, they put in the work, and their legacy is being carried forward. In other cases, we do friendly minority stake investments to help founders scale their businesses to the next level, and that works as well.
I felt like the last time we talked, the accelerator program that you have in place, not accelerator program, but the investment program. Well, I'll let you define it again here, but the investment program / accelerator program / funding program that you have in place was still pretty loose. The last time we talked was the EDD acquisition. Has that matured a little bit more? I mean, I'm not saying that in an offensive way, but like, has that matured a little bit more in terms of, I don't know, I look at things like the Calm Fund or Tiny Seed, where there's like structure and program in place where you can come and be educated and accelerate the business a little bit and potentially get some seed funding or funding throughout the whole process. What does that look like for you headed into 2023?
I think there is a very big difference in what we do and what a typical accelerator program is. And that's actually why I ended up rebranding the program. So when I launched it, it was called WP Beginner Growth Accelerator, because that was the purpose of the program, right? Invest in businesses and help accelerate the growth. But as someone who don't have an MBA and don't have venture backed funding or this, I learned that the growth accelerators are time bound. So after 6 months, you never talk to that team again. I mean, you have access to them, but how much access do you really have? Because they'll move on to the next cohort, right? Is the goal is let me put money in as many things as possible, and you're just another number in the jar, and that's not what we do. That's not who we are. And that's a very big difference between what we're doing and what a traditional accelerator program does. We are partnering. When I say we are partnering with the businesses, we are really partnering. This is not a 6-month accelerate your business. That's why we changed the name. I changed the name to be called WP Beginner Growth Fund, right? Because as an entrepreneur, independence is one of the main reasons why people create a business in the first place, right? It's one of the reasons why businesses succeed also, right? So when we invest in those businesses, my goal is to interfere as little as possible with the day-to-day operation of the businesses, whether we invest it, whether we acquire it, right? Founder-led companies, and I believe this, are great at hacking, great at hustling. And what I want to do is empower them with the knowledge framework experiences that I have gained over the years from failing all the time and learning by trial by fire. And that's what it is. And of course, we have playbooks, and the playbooks mature every month, every week, and yeah. But that's what it is. And there's no cohesive this is the cohort one that's coming in 6 months later, you're gone, don't talk to me again. That's not what it is. And we're pretty selective about it. Instead of like doing the announcement, like, how in the beginning I was doing an announcement and there was, oh, we invited 4 or 5 companies in that. That's not what we're doing anymore. It's open year round. People apply to it year round, and we add great companies. We added Funnel Kit. I'm not sure if you've seen Funnel Kit. Is just an amazing product. Really, really cool stuff that they're doing with Funnel Kit Builder, but also the Funnel Kit automations. Now, that's really powerful stuff. If you're running an e-commerce store, what they're doing over there is just mind-blowing. Damanjeet and the entire team there. I'm super excited to welcome them to the Growth Fund.
And I appreciate that answer. I appreciate the way that you also acquire products, because look, what's the alternative? The alternative is, because you say you don't have the MBA or maybe like the schooling, but you're a shrewd individual and you understand you understand business, you understand how to negotiate. Because the alternative is you run it like a private equity firm, right? Where you just scoop them up, cut out all the fat, push the people to the side, put the product in the lineup, and just sell, and exhaust everyone. And that's one route you could go. And you choose not to. At least this is how I hope that this hero's journey is being played out here, is you choose not to do that. And you choose to lead it with putting the founders, if they, I guess, choose to continue, and I guess you choose to continue to have them on the team, to have that autonomy, to have that independence, to let them build the business because you want to see it succeed, because that's the way you would want to do it if you were somebody applying to Awesome Motive. So I appreciate that, the way that you run all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, I never set out to become an investor. Right? I was approached by many firms and went down the process a couple times only to realize that it's terrible. And in that
Yeah.
time, many of my friends went through the process and then closed and then realized it was terrible and what a mistake that made. So I'm committed to this pretty much for life. One thing you see behind me is like Charlie and Warren and Charlie right there. And Charlie just turned 99, right? And Warren 93. I imagine I'll probably be doing this till I'm 93 or maybe 99 if I live that long.
All right. So I'm going to give you the crazy predictions for those of you who have stuck around through the whole thing. Here's what here are the brands. One brand. Actually, I won't say it. I won't say the brand. I shared it with you privately. I won't say it publicly. You will acquire an even bigger page builder. I'll let the room figure out who I'm talking about. Well, there's 2, 3. Or an email platform, email newsletter platform, like a MailChimp or a MailerLite or something like that. That'll be the next one, because I just look at the stack, man. I look at the product stack and I'm like, what else do they need to slot in? I'm pretty sure I was pretty confident in saying e-commerce, and then you all acquired EDD a few months later. It's got to be email, because you got that other product that's out there, right? You just launched that transactional email solution.
SendLayer, yeah.
There's got to be a newsletter platform coming. Beehive is blowing up, Substack, Ghost.
Basically, I do these podcast interviews to hear your predictions, and then my goal is to try to make them come true. So thank you for making those suggestions, ideas, and I have some homework to do then.
Thanks for listening to the WP Minute Plus, deeper insights and conversations from around the WordPress community. If you're looking for our weekly newsletter and short-form news podcast, head over to thewpminute.com/subscribe. And if you want to support our efforts, join our Slack community for $79 a year at thewpminute.com/support.